The year began in January with notable achievements as the Commissioner of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority at the time, Alhaji Seidu Idrisu Idisa, announced that the GRA achieved its 2023 national revenue target of 109 billion Ghana cedis. Although customs fell short by 1.2 billion cedis, this performance was deemed impressive amidst a challenging economic climate marked by reduced import volumes. January also witnessed the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority ramping up recruitment and training efforts to strengthen the manpower of its security and fire departments, providing significant employment opportunities at the Tema and Takoradi ports. The Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders inaugurated its newly elected National Executive Council in the same month. Stephen Ajokache assumed the presidency, supported by Alex Esiama, Regina Boateng and John Edujak as first vice president, second vice president and treasurer respectively. In a historic feat, January also saw the port of Tema welcome its first 13,000 plus TEU container ship, Maersk Eden, at the MPS Terminal 3. This marks the launch of the new express service, positioning Tema as the first port of call in West Africa for the Far East West Africa route.
Well, it means a lot. First of all, his logistics chain becomes all of a sudden shorter, which means lesser outlay of money in terms of products at sea, for it to come to him in good time for production over here. Secondly, the cost of the freight is bound to go down because we are the first port of call. So the freight that they have, or the containers, they burn less fuel and energy and time, on board the ship. So it will be marginally less than any other port. So that creates more opportunity for us. And normally industries, they prefer to set up shop, where is good connectivity and where is good transit time. And we are just putting ourselves on the map to be offering such opportunity for industrial. And as you can see on the cranes on board the ship, we have deployed 8 cranes on board the ship. Not many ports in West Africa, they have 8 cranes, let alone to be able to deploy 8 cranes on one ship. So the infrastructure that we have built over here is capable of taking such size vessel and even bigger. We have the draft, and we are connected directly to the Atlantic Ocean. So we have no restrictions of tide or navigation through a river or a creek. Ship just enters straight from the Atlantic Ocean into the harbor basin.
February saw the release of the time release study by the Customs Division of GRA. The initiative aimed at assessing and improving the average clearance time for goods at Ghana's port, with the ultimate goal of eliminating bottlenecks and enhancing trade facilitation.
We measured the average time. We measured the minimum time.
Yes.
We measured the maximum time within what we have sampled for study.
Yes.
So again, before we didn't have any baseline to actually determine that this is what we are doing. These are the improvements that have come as a result of initiatives.
Yeah.
Now, this we are having. But if you look at the detailed report, there are cases where goods have been cleared we have at the port of the Kotoka International Airport.
Yes.
We have cases where goods have been cleared within less than an hour. Less than an hour. So these things are possible. So what we want to leverage on those reasons for which these goods have been cleared early enough.
Right.
These are what we have identified and put in the recommendations for implementation. So we are actually doing some level of clearance very early, but then the majority of the cases we are not.
The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority embarked on a week-long sensitization roadshow in February to promote awareness of its occupational health, safety and environment policies among staff and stakeholders in Tema and Takoradi. This effort was geared towards fostering a safer, more compliant workplace. The month of March was a busy one. The Grimaldi Group honored the port of Tema by naming one of its largest GS-class ro-ro multi-purpose vessels after it. The Ghana Armed Forces also embarked on a maritime expedition to the geographic center of the world, showcasing Ghana's strategic maritime significance. The same month, the floating university and cruise ship MV World Odyssey docked at Ghana's ports with nearly 500 students from around the globe. GPHA also rolled out the Maritime Single Window Program, a digital platform designed to streamline vessel clearance processes by integrating regulatory and shipping line activities. Cargo traffic figures for 2023 were highlighted in March, with Ghana's ports handling 26 million tons of cargo despite economic challenges. The port of Tema handled 18 million tons, while Takoradi handled 8 million tons, showing improvement over the previous year.
Well, generally, I would say we fared quite well, despite the challenges globally.
Right.
The first half of last year was really scary. Our ports were just dry. We had to do a whole lot of engagement with stakeholders, at least to get to know what is happening and what they were thinking.
Right.
Fortunately for us, when we started the second half, at least traffic rebounded.
Right.
And we ended the year at least not too far away from our performance for 2022. And I think that the 2023 as well, even whilst that was going on, we did not relent in our efforts to try and equip. And fortunately for us, our finances also permitted us to acquire a couple of equipments.
Right.
And also, of course, all the other expansion programs that we've been doing in the ports of Tema and Takoradi. So I think on the whole, I would say, though we would have wished we did better in 2023, but on the whole, it was a very good year for us.
Veteran maritime law consultant and legal practitioner Dr. Emmanuel Kofimbia also forecasted a steady maritime trade growth of 2% to 2.4% on the 2023 figures by the end of 2024.
Right.
If you look at the projections, therefore, while we are positive, and as I said, if you take Clarkson, Clyde and Co., etc., for them, they are cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
Going forward, I think that because we have come out of a pandemic, we have come up in 2022, 2023, there is likely by the end of 2024 for us to see an improvement.
Right.
So an increase of about 2%.
Right.
For 2024 is a likely figure.
Okay.
April was marked by the visit of the Italian President Sergio Mattarella, who toured the port of Tema, and the Italian naval ship Commandant Betica, which had berthed at the port. That month, Customs debunked rumors of Ghana losing transit cargo to neighboring countries, emphasizing its competitive edge in transit trade.
For 2023, the tonnage was 308 million metric tons.
Wow, 308 million.
Million metric tons for that short period I mentioned.
Wow.
Yes. Then I checked for the same period for this year.
Yes.
And that is 444 million metric tons for transit cargo through the port.
Wow.
And the difference is about 136,000 metric tons. So there's an increase.
Okay, so it means that it's not true. When people,
from the data.
People speculate and bandy about that we are losing.
Exactly. Like I was saying, initially I joined the chorus that way, but after my checks, because I have access to data, then I realized that, oh no. So I can't go and stand somewhere and speak that way anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's an increase rather.
GPHA commissioned 4 new marine crafts in April, named after prominent individuals who contributed to the organization and the sector's development. The same month, the Elmina Fishing Hub welcomed its first cruise vessel, the SH Vega, setting the stage for the harbour's economic potential in tourism. May saw the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, GPHA, expressing optimism about achieving its $25 billion export revenue target by 2029, following a strong $3.9 billion performance in 2023.
There is a target to meet.
Okay.
And there's a target to reach. And that target is a 25.3 billion US dollars.
Okay.
And that target stems from the National Export Development Strategy. You see, and this strategy was launched in the year 2020. And it's a 10-year strategy, meaning that by 2029, it has to expire. And by the 2029, we need to have this 25.3 billion USD. Now, as at the time, the 2020, when this document was launched, we had a total NTE of, I think, about 2.8 billion.
Okay.
Now, so if you look at being at 2.8 billion
in
2020,
yeah.
And we are talking about moving from 2.8 all the way to 25.3 billion. I mean, it's
unrealistic.
That's not that it's not. It is very, very much realistic.
Really?
But it means we need to work extremely hard.
AMSOL Group further strengthened Ghana's marine fuel operations by christening the bunker tanker Denso River at the port of Tema. In June, the Kota Tema, a newly constructed 7,000 TEU container vessel, made its maiden call to the port of Tema. June also saw MPS introduce a cutting-edge equipment simulator at Terminal 3. This state-of-the-art tool was designed to refine the skills and competencies of operators, ensuring they meet the highest standards of efficiency and safety in port operations. Later in the month, the port of Tema saw the arrival of a Norwegian fisheries research vessel, which completed a 30-day survey in Ghanaian waters to provide critical data for fisheries management. By mid-year, alarming reports emerged about the devastation of 2/3 of Ghana's coastline due to increasing erosion. The Ghana Hydrological Authority called for urgent measures to mitigate this critical challenge, which threatens both coastal livelihoods and infrastructure. The Executive Director of the Center for International Maritime Affairs, Ghana, Mr. Albert Derrick Fiatui, made strong recommendations for immediate intervention.
The devastation is quite serious. It had affected a lot of holiday resorts along the stretch, personal properties, buildings, and actually increased sea line recession. That's our land being lost to the sea.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is our major challenge in this area.
We have mangroves there, but it has become what the community people depend on. They cut these mangroves as firewoods for sale.
Ignorantly?
Ignorantly, yes. Ignorantly. So there is a need for a lot of education to be done, and also livelihood empowerment. They have depended on this for a very long time. And we think that education will have to be carried out for them to understand that the mangrove there is rather protecting them from the devastation. So it should not be seen as an economic activity where they cut it for firewood. If at all there is anything that should be done to make money, it should be planting of more mangroves, for which maybe they are paid. You know, mostly when you talk about it, it looks weird or minor, because you ask yourself, how can you go and protect the coastal environment with just mangroves, with all these tidal wave distractions? But scientifically, it has proven to be one of the greatest ways of protecting the environment. And we think that we should encourage the planting of that across board.
July brought environmental awareness to the forefront, with MPS planting 1,002 trees as part of the Green Ghana initiative, exceeding its previous year's efforts. In Sekondi Takoradi, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority partnered the Ahantaman Girls Senior High School to promote environmental consciousness by helping students plant trees within the environs of the school. A 14 million cold storage facility was also inaugurated in Tema, enhancing fish preservation capabilities. August marked the implementation of Ghana's cabotage law, which mandates local employment quotas for officers and crew on vessels operating in Ghanaian waters.
Is to make the local trade the preserve of Ghanaians, the indigenous. So 75% of ratings, and then also 50% of officers within on the vessels are supposed to go to Ghanaians. And this is to ensure that we have a fair share of job opportunities within the industry. We are doing it both with the merchant and then the fishing vessels as well.
September was also very eventful. The Lagos Hope, the world's largest floating book fair, returned to the port of Ghana, drawing thousands of visitors, including the President of Ghana. That month also saw the commissioning of the $50 million Jamestown Fishing Harbour, a transformative project aimed at revitalizing Ghana's artisanal fishing industry. The African Bitumen Terminal and Production Plant by Go Bitumen, a subsidiary of GOIL and SMB of La Côte d'Ivoire, was also commissioned by the President in September, giving hope for Ghana's ambition to have a reliable and steady supply of bitumen for the nation's road network construction. Construction of an administration block for the Port of Keita project began this year ahead of further investment into the construction of the main port. As the country's ocean resources continue to dissipate at an alarming rate due to irresponsible human activities, the conversation around Ghana's fisheries management regained momentum. Experts turned to the Iron Port platform, urging all stakeholders to dedicate efforts to science to redeem the sector from the quagmire it has placed itself in and to redirect Ghana towards a sustainable path.
What we have not been able to do properly is the collaborative research aspect of it. That how do we work together as industry regulator and academia and research to be able to do a proper research as to what is it that we needed to do in order that when the regulator is setting the regulation, it's in conformity with research, and so nobody just writes law in abstract.
In other developments, stakeholders in Ghana's budding cruise sector intensified calls for some significant capital injection into the creation of a cruise terminal in Ghana. In addition to this, they called for responsible authorities to adopt a deliberate cruise tourism strategy that streamlines the processes of all agencies and stakeholders in holistic fashion to derive the full benefits of the rapidly growing global cruise industry.
You could have much more by having a Pan-African approach. By virtue of position of Senegal, Gambia, and Cape Verde in the mid-Atlantic, in terms of cruise ship position, or should I say market, they call it the mid-Atlantic. We are southwest Atlantic. So mid-Atlantic has Cape Verde, the Canary Islands, Senegal, Gambia. Now they usually touch a tip of West Africa and then go down. It's cheaper for them to just cut across and go down. But if we're able to show them that there's more to see in West Africa, it's going to cost them maybe 10% more to divert this way. And so I believe that we should look at how maybe using both Ghana Ports and Harbours authorities, so I think you might have an ECOWAS commission for ports, whether there can be a ECOWAS-wide plan. We could be able to push through these things.
The Ghana Shippers Authority Act was also passed, granting the authority regulatory powers over shipping services in Ghana.
Let me put it this way. Our establishment law, NRCD 254, after that there was LI 1347, and then another LI in 2012, LI 2190. We have put all these laws together into one, and then given a bit more sanctions regime for the law. So that is what has happened. Not much has changed in terms of our processes, our procedure, our role. You see that we're doing some of the things already, yet we were not able to get to the end of it to make determinations that will be obeyed by players. So three things will happen this time around. The charges, illegitimate charges, now the authority has been given the powers to deal with it conclusively.
Right.
So the Ghana Shippers Authority now has to approve charges. So if charges have not been justified, we have not gone through discussions, it is not something that we all accept as an industry, it's not an international best practice, and we are afraid that charge cannot stand anymore.
The Deputy Chief Executive Officer in charge of operations at the Driver Vehicle Licensing Authority, Prince Opukwe-Dusay, during the 25-year anniversary of the organization, revealed that plans are underway to launch an initiative that will track the movement of vehicles that transport cargo from the ports into the hinterlands to support existing government efforts.
There's already a project that we are going to roll out very soon, where trackers are going to be placed on some of these heavy goods carrying vehicles to ensure that when they leave the ports, where they claim to be their final destination is exactly where they are headed.
Towards the end of September, the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders GIF, the Association of Customs House Agents of Ghana, Freight Forwarders Association of Ghana, and the Customs Brokers Association of Ghana, in collaboration with several trade associations and concerned stakeholders, partook in a peaceful demonstration for what they termed as the exploitative practices by shipping lines operating within the country. The conversation was further debated on Iron Port's live interactive session.
Yes, so it's not about any contract. A contract spells out everything in clear terms. The price that I will take for maybe clearing charges, for empty container, for cleaning and all that, and it will be well spelled out, the price that you will pay. But where the price is not categorically stated, and that you use your own authority, and even with different shipping lines, everybody has its charges, even the rate that the Bank of Ghana give, you do not even abide by it. What kind of contract is that? It means that you are taking undue advantage over us. And we have stated that even as part of this contract that he is talking about, embedded in the freight charge, they should include it. And then we pay it upfront. When we tell them, they are afraid to do that because they know that when one shipping line charge is higher over the other, people will shop and get a cheaper one. And so they all come and say that, no, we have to do the local administrative charges aside of the... So clearly, they are doing everything to surcharge the good people of Ghana. And that's why prices of goods and services have gone up.
Admittedly, there will be challenges in maybe the clearance system and even documentation with the trader and that is why sometimes these extended periods are negotiated right from day one. That is why I'm saying everything is right from day one. It's imperative for the shippers, they sign the agreement. It's imperative for them to maybe share with Mr. Obin, this is what I've committed you to. You understand? So that if Mr. Obin then has that strength that, this is what, okay, maybe I don't have to then bother myself. Or no, this is what but the shipping line is ripping me off. Then Mr. Obin is coming to the shipping line to say that, listen, this is the agreement that my shipper has committed me to. And I'm part of the whole merchant description because now I have title to the cargo. But why are you charging me this? And this is an issue of discussion, proving whatever is written and taking it out.
October saw the Terminal 3 at the port of Tema expand its yard capacity by 120,000 square meters, with plans to further increase it next year.
It means that we can handle more containers, we can handle more capacity, we can become actually the regional hub or compete to become the regional hub because there is other ports competing. And we are competing with our neighbors directly as well as strategic points like Tangier, Algeciras in Europe as well as in Africa for the same traffic. And we need that success, in construction to be fast enough to meet the demand.
2021 happens to be our best year in terms of container volumes, and we hit over 1.5 million TEUs. But this year, up to September, we have already hit over 1.2 million TEUs. And so we know that there's that growth spurt that we've seen. And once there's that growth, you need that space to be able to accommodate the volumes, the container volumes coming. And yes, our vision is to become the best in West Africa. And we are seeing that now we are moving towards that vision and I'm sure that very soon we'll even surpass that vision that we set for ourselves.
Meanwhile, the Spanish Armada returned to Ghana aboard the BAM Metero, a modern maritime action ship supporting the fight against piracy and illegal fishing in the Gulf of Guinea. In November, Ghana's transport sector witnessed progress with the commissioning of the Tema railway line, enhancing multimodal transport systems. In Takoradi, the president commissioned the 550-meter oil and gas services terminal at the port. The facility includes a 550-meter quay wall, a 10-meter draft for dredge berth pockets, and 1.9 kilometers of access roads equipped with storm drainage systems. Additionally, it offers a 200,000 square meter service land area designed for oil field operators, logistics service providers, operations officers, workshops and storage facilities. The Ghana Shippers Authority also celebrated its 50th anniversary, reflecting on its contributions to the shipping and logistics industry over the decades. The year ended on a high note in December, with multiple cruise vessel calls highlighting Ghana's growing potential as a cruise tourism destination.